Hey, good morning, good midday, everyone. This is Will. This is our monthly virtual meeting for the South End Water Main Project Swim. September 16th, it is noon. So if you happen to miss this presentation, or more likely if you happen to miss previous virtual meetings and you want to go back and get information about this project that was presented in the virtual meetings, the best place to go is to our charlotteswim.com website. But then also, Charlotte Water has its own YouTube page, and you can also go to that page as well and scroll through and find all of our South End Water Main Project meetings, virtual meetings. We do these monthly. So additionally, if you enjoy this experience and you want to come back next month, feel free. Real quick, my name is Will Rice. I'm the project manager. That is my name and phone number on the far left there. The best way to get in touch with the project team as a whole, though, is to email the info@charlotteswim.com email address right there in the middle. As previously mentioned, that is our website where all the information about the project and these virtual meetings are housed. And then lastly, on the far right there, we have the services of Keith Hunter with Black and Beach, and he is helping out a lot with sort of day-to-day on-site issues. So if you're specifically, and especially if you're a business and you're having issues, Keith should have already reached out to you to warn you that we're coming. But if he has not, or if you need to reach him further, that's his name and phone number on the far right there. Real quick, before we start, we like to do a little bit of a safety minute. And this picture came across, and I really do like it. It sort of reemphasizes the tremendous amount of efforts that RH Price, our contractor, is putting in to ensuring a safe working environment for both its workers and for all the cars that are traveling in and out of our construction area. So a couple things I want to just point out in this picture. You see everyone's wearing hard hats, everyone's wearing safety vests, so they're high visibility. So cars and pedestrians and everyone should be able to see who our workers are and where they are. You'll see a lot of people standing around this piece of lifting equipment there, just lifting a barrier wall. And a lot of times you'll see them standing around and you might be wondering what they're doing. A lot of times they're spotting for the excavator and spotting for the heavier equipment to ensure they don't do things like hit the power lines. You can see lots of power lines in this picture. And so we often have a lot of our personnel who are helping to guide and direct the heavier equipment inside of our work zone. The work zone is very small. Unfortunately for them, I guess fortunately for everyone else, we didn't close down the entirety of South Boulevard. So there's still two lanes of traffic, one northbound, one southbound. And so because of that as well, there's lots of cones, there's lots of orange barricades. There's our barrier wall, which you'll see as we move further north. May have seen if you were further south of us. And then lastly, we also have a traffic control subcontractor. So you'll see the guy on the far right there. And there's someone in the far left, not on this screen, also helping to direct traffic. So there's a tremendous amount of effort being put into the safety of this project to ensuring that even though this road is active and there's still tons of cars driving up and down it, that all of our workers are safe, all the cars are safe, and that everyone can go home at the end of the day. Real quick, what we're going to talk about today, I'm just going to touch real quickly on why we're doing this project again. It's been a long time since we sort of laid out the justification for it. So I'm going to go over that real briefly. We'll talk about what work is going on now, quick mention of the traffic detours, and then on to sort of how it's made. If you've seen these virtual meetings in the past, you'll remember and know that I spent a lot of time just talking about sort of how we do what we do. I think it's pretty interesting. Real quick, I'm going to touch on Dairy Branch, which is another project in the near vicinity that's overlapping that will have some intersecting pieces that I just want to sort of try to make some clarification on who's doing what and where and when. And then lastly, I'll put the contact slide back up again. Also, I didn't mention this yet, but I believe the Q&A function is working. So if you have questions, feel free to go ahead and put them in the Q&A. I've got that window open off to my side there, and I can see them and answer in real time. I do prefer and enjoy to answer questions that are on topic while I'm talking about something. So please go ahead and put those in the box there. So why are we building this water line? It's especially down the middle of South Boulevard, which we know is a heavily trafficked area. Well, because everyone wants to live along South Boulevard right now. And this, not only is there a tremendous amount of growth that has happened in this part of town just recently, but as we're building this water line, we are getting more notifications of continued growth that's going to be happen. we've made the assumptions, and for the most part, we've been correct so far. Everything that's sort of along South Boulevard, north of Scaly Bark and Freeland and Old Pineville, and south of Worthington, anything that's not already multi-stories is probably going to become multi-stories the next 5 to 10 years. And so we're trying to provide enough water for this transmission main to help provide water to anything that's multiple stories along South Boulevard in the next 5 to 10 years. Aside from the capacity upgrade that we're making, this piping that's in South Boulevard also is just extremely old. So it's just a matter of replacing the piping. Unfortunately, there's no such thing as forever piping. Any piping that you put in the ground eventually has to be replaced. And the piping that was put in South Boulevard was put there a long time ago. And so we are replacing that piping. And then lastly, this is more of a technical detail, but water transmission mains that's how we move water around the city large scale. And the piece of water transmission main that runs along South Boulevard between Scaly Bark and Old Pineville and the northern section where we're finishing the project, that piece is just smaller than all the other water transmission mains. So for example, the one that runs down Scaly Bark, Freeland, it's a 36-inch main, so a 3-foot diameter main. And the current main down South Boulevard is only 12 inches, so only 1 foot. So we're upsizing to 24 inches, 2 feet, so that it better interacts and can better move water in and out of the South Boulevard corridor. So it's going to allow us just to maintain our water system a little bit better. Next 30 to 90 days, what's going to be happening? Well, phase 5, we've moved the barrier wall north of phase 5. Everyone's probably rejoicing that it's no longer out front of the Chick-fil-A. And we are now barrier walled into phase 6. So that's Elmhurst to Remount Ideal, or just short of Remount Ideal. And this is going to last probably through November. There's still minor work taking place in phase 5. So even though the barrier wall is no longer in phase 5, there will still be some work. You will still see some of RH Price, the contractor. You'll see them doing some stuff down in the southern part where the barrier wall isn't still. And then after we finish up phase 6, we'll move into the barrier wall. We'll move into phase 7. That's looking to be sometime in 2022. And then again, we'll still be doing some minor work here and there back in phase 6. So even though it's exciting to see the barrier wall move north, out of the phase that you might be in into a phase that you're no longer involved with, there is often still a little bits of work that need to take place to finish up previous phases. So we'll finish up those pieces of work as we move north. But in terms of the big barrier wall implications, we're in phase 6 right now. That's for the most of the rest of the year. And then our next phase will be north of where the barrier wall currently ends, and it'll go through the Remount Ideal intersection a little bit further north of there. I have Dairy Branch listed on here as well. Dairy Branch sewer line is being built, and that essentially runs from South Boulevard all the way to Freedom Park. And some of the lower sections of that closer to Freedom Park are done. And we are now getting to the point where there's some sections of that sewer that are really close to where we're doing our water line. And some of the sections of the sewer line that actually run up South Boulevard are in South Boulevard, and they will be inside of our work zone. So we're going to actually assist that contractor and that project by building a portion of that Dairy Branch sewer line inside of our project, inside of our barrier wall. And then along, down Poindexter a little bit. Unfortunately, that's going to cause some, issues with Poindexter traffic, but it was decided it makes more sense for us to go ahead and do that while we're already having a disruption in South Boulevard. So, that way we're not going to build a water line, move the barrier wall up into phase 7 or phase 8, and then have someone else come back behind us and have to put up a barrier wall again to do the work in South Boulevard. So we're sort of combining that last piece of the Dairy Branch project with our project. Here's the map, sort of where we are now, and sort of the phasing. We're actually that phase 5 number is off. We're in phase 6, but it's pretty close to the same vicinity. We are just north of Elmhurst, and we stop short of Ideal Way and Remount. Here's the biggest traffic disruption. All of y'all should have probably received a mailer and seen what it looks like here. It shows the barrier wall in red there, just north of Elmhurst and stopping short of Ideal Remount. And then also, of course, it's showing that Poindexter is going to be fully closed for a portion of this product as we run the sewer down Poindexter and then cut back. You can see the Dairy Branch creek is actually drawn there, and the Dairy Branch sewer is going to run along that creek. So that's a pretty close approximation of where the sewer line will be. We are going to tie in to there's going to be a manhole back there on the creek. It's going to come up close to just west of Haverford there, and then it's going to come up Poindexter, and then it's going to proceed up South Boulevard a little bit. But all that to say, the detour that you're going to need if you have to access Poindexter is going to be coming down Elmhurst and coming down Haverford, or of course you can come all the way down Elmhurst to Poindexter if you want, if you're going towards Park Road. That's going to be the biggest sort of unfortunate detour necessary. Ideal Way and Remount are still fully open. And yeah, if you're coming on down South Boulevard, you need to turn right on the Poindexter. That will be fully open until we make the connection on that side. Okay, now into my favorite part of these meetings, Construction 101, how we make these water lines and put them in the ground. I'm going to show some pictures of some asphalt milling results. We're going to, as always, talk about soft digs. It seems to be a recurring theme. A little bit about pipe assembly. I'm going to show some service connection stuff, and then curb and gutter and sort of finishing. So this is what it looks like. We've moved into the new phase here. And of course, the first thing you do in the new phases is demolish what currently exists. And there's a nice big median out there that we have to get rid of. And this is what it looks like. There's a big excavator with, essentially it's a jackhammer, but it's not a jackhammer that like a person can hold. It's a jackhammer that has to be attached to a giant machine. And so you can see that jackhammer is there. He's breaking up the concrete, and that will all get loaded into a dump truck and moved away. And then once that median is gone, you can see this other piece of equipment out here on the left. That's actually a milling machine. It says CAT on the side of it. That's actually a milling machine. So it's basically like a giant, I guess you could say it's kind of like a sander, but it sands asphalt and it's very large. So it's going to come back afterwards and it will go ahead and it will remove layers of asphalt. So this is what it looks like. You can still see the asphalt on either side of the sort of trenches type thing, but basically it comes through and it removes that. Then, from here, we're going to go ahead and dig. Now we're down to dirt, dig the dirt out, put the pipe in. But that's what it looks like. We only mill as much as we have to. We want to leave as much asphalt in place just to save money, and also, it's less to come back and repave at the end. So for the most part, you can see that's where the trench is going to be that the water line goes into. Then once we've been done milling, before we actually go and start really digging deeply, we call 811, call before you dig, and then we go out and everywhere that 811 has located either a gas line or a fiber optic line or a telecommunication line or one of our water lines or one of our sewer lines, we go ahead and do a soft dig. So we trust 811 that they've marked utilities as they exist, but then we also go out and just to be extra cautious, extra layer of precaution, we go ahead and soft dig. So the guy on the right there, he's holding essentially a vacuum tube, and the guy on the left there is kind of digging and breaking up the dirt, and it's being sucked up into that big truck there. Here's another sort of angle what it sort of looks like. The guy on the right, again, he's holding the vacuum tube. The truck's like a big giant vacuum, and the guy on the left, he's holding almost like a giant toothpick that's got air in it. It's not too different from what dentists do, actually. They got the pick in one hand to clean your teeth with, and then they have the vacuum in the other hand to remove anything that they've dislodged. We do a lot of soft digging. This is actually not in our work site. This is off to the right. I think they're looking for a service connection or something like that. But RH Price has just been doing a ton of soft digging because, yeah, it's very important that we know what's under the ground and where it is, and we've located it, and we just know absolutely sure that if we're going to go dig there, that we're not going to damage or break anything. One more picture of soft digs. You can see sort of the end result is there's a little square of asphalt missing, and then they've put the dirt back in the hole after they've located it, and then they paint on the sidewalk there too. You can see that's probably the depth to whatever they were looking for, 28 inches. So then when we're coming back through there, we know that there indeed was something that was marked, and we indeed soft dug it, and we found it, and it was there, and it's all been proven. So now we can know where not to dig to break anything. And then of course I had this sign made to help educate people about what a soft dig was. And again, it's a picture of a guy with a vacuum hose and a picture of a guy with a compressor hose, uh, slowly removing material so we can get down to a utility without damaging it. Okay, on to slightly more interesting things. We're putting in a 24-inch water line here, and you can see that's a picture of that water line. It's very, very large. And then we made some design changes. I mentioned earlier that we're planning for future growth. And so one of those design changes was that we're putting in these T connections. So that piece on the end there that's got it's got an opening on top in addition to the opening on either side. It's called a T. It's like shaped like the letter T, and that's going to allow us to put a slightly larger, a much larger connection off to the side of the road uh, for development and for better water service for any taller buildings or any buildings that are getting made larger. And so yeah, everything's in this construction product is large, 24-inch water line and a 24-inch T. I think that might be like a 20-inch or an 18-inch service connection on the side there. And so that all gets assembled up above the ground, and then a crane will, the backhoe will pick that up and lower it down in there. You can see they're putting the trench boxes in place right there. So that allows our workers to be down there in the hole safely, and then they'll pick that pipe up and put it down there, and the workers will guide it all into place. Oftentimes, we sort of gloss over the work that's happening on the side streets because all the big equipment's right there in the middle of South Boulevard, all the bigger excavators. But yeah, then we have to go back and make these side street connections, and it's a pretty similar process. There's some, you cut the asphalt away and you excavate and you soft dig to make sure you know where stuff is. It's basically the same thing, but on a smaller scale. So you'll see the smaller excavator. You see a vibrating compactor there in that picture, and then they're putting asphalt back in place, but it's just really similar to everything that's happening in the middle of the road, just a little bit smaller, a little bit quicker, but it's almost exactly the same process. And then once we, have the water line in place and we're starting to do what we call our restoration, one of the big things is putting those medians back in place. South Boulevard had recently implemented some medians in the past 5 to 10 years to help with traffic and help with pedestrians. So of course, we're putting back anything that we tore up in the first place to put our water line in. And so here's the median, and here's how they do it. It's fairly interesting. They put this form there, and then these guys come and they sort of shape and mold that concrete as it gets poured, and then your end result is a nice brand new median to hopefully keep cars separate from each other, right? And then we get, after the median and the asphalt and the concrete's all been done, we paint all new lines. Here's a picture of a guy with his little lining spray paint contraption. Nice brand new markings for this crosswalk. And then we get to something like this, right, where we're so close to being done. This is just south of the Chick-fil-A. We're really, really close to being finished up here. The new water connection has been done. We put down some seed and straw here to help reestablish vegetation so that this ground won't wash away when it rains. But of course, we still do need to come back here and do a little bit of sidewalk repair. So even though it's so close to being done, there's still a little bit of work left to be done. By the time we're done there, that sidewalk will be brand new, nice, and those cones will all be gone, of course. And that's how you know when you see the brand new asphalt and pavement and brand new lines and brand new sidewalk and all the cones are gone. That's generally the sign that we really are fully completed with that portion of the project. Here is the Poindexter closure. You can see it's fully closed now as of this week. And I took a fairly good time lapse of this a few days ago. So hopefully that will get posted on social media sometime in the near future and you can come back and watch it. But again, they've saw cut the asphalt there, and now they're starting to excavate for their tunnel boring pit so that they can go underneath South Boulevard there into our other work zone without having to close traffic fully on South Boulevard. But yeah, look for that to come in the near future. And with that, are there any questions? I don't currently see any questions in the chat. I'm going to pause. You got a question? Now's your chance. And while I'm waiting, I'm going to go ahead and pitch one more time. The website, charlotteswim.com, beautiful website. Our subcontractor, Yellow Duck, created this website for us, and it's really, really quite nice. If you want to have information sent to you as opposed to coming to the website, you can text South End Water to 31996, and that will get you on our text messaging chain, and we'll send out important information such as traffic closures or reminders for future virtual meetings. Or, if anything goes wrong, we often send text messages out about that as well. So, and then, if you send an email to this info@charlotteswim.com email address, that goes out to the whole project team. So if you have a more depth or complicated question or concern, feel free to do that. That's the best way to reach sort of a wide variety of people that can answer your question the quickest. And then this is our second to last slide, I believe. It's a repeat. So I'm Will, far left project manager. Feel free to email me or call me about this project. And then if you're a business that has sort of an immediate concern or issue, data email or call Keith Hunter there. Okay. And that's all I have. So thank y'all, and y'all have a good rest of your Thursday.